a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
I'm Christina Kahn.
And I'm Leela Hilton.
And this is Burn Before Reading, the podcast about shiterature.
We're here to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger and talk about other cringy literary topics.
Our guest today is our friend Raye. Say hello to the listeners, Raye.
Hello, what's up?
What's up? We're glad to have you on the show.
I'm so glad to be here.
Hell yeah. For the listeners, what are your pronouns?
Any pronouns, but normally they.
Love it. Tell the listeners about your work in podcast land and elsewhere.
Well, you guys maybe have heard of a little show called Of the Eldest Gods. You know, that one that is on this network also.
Yeah, because Charlie's come on the show before.
I also do kind of a side project show called Barbie Movie Slap, where my roommate and I talk about Barbie movies.
I like that the title tells you exactly what the podcast is about.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. That one comes out whenever we feel like it.
I got you. Leela, what's been cringing you out this week?
I think, okay, so I have a cringe that happened this week. I was at the office working up front, and we had a mom who was a few minutes late picking up her kid from therapy. So I was like, just come sit with me up front and we'll hang out until mom gets here. And she was chill. She was 8 years old, older, so I didn't have to worry about her just like running around and sticking her fingers into sockets and stuff like freaking little kids. But she was sitting there and she was just like, I can't wait until I'm a grown up. And I was like, oh, why do you say that?
You're wrong, honey.
and she was like, because I'm hungry and I want Subway and I don't think my mom will get it for me. And if I was a grown up, I could buy myself all the Subway I want. And I was like, that's true. That is, you could. But guess what? There's a catch though. You have to buy it with your own money. And she was like, huh. And she considered this for a second.
I love when you say something like that to a kid and they really consider it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, wow, you're really listening
They're like,
to me.
I never thought about it that way before.
She goes, I wish everything was free. I said, you and me both, girl. You and me both. And then I said, well, what do you want to be when you grow up so that you can make money to buy your Subway? And she said, I want to be a police officer. And I said,
You said, that's a great dream.
I said, oh, how come? Shouldn't have done that because I quickly figured out the reason that she's in therapy. And she said, well, I like hurting people.
Oh my God!
She said,
I was about to remind you, Leela, that like children do love rules, you know, like,
so maybe she was just
not...
like, I was like thinking maybe she'd be like, cause then I can get the bad guys, you know, or I don't know. But she said, well, I really want to hurt people. And at
least she understands what a police officers do in this country.
I know. And I was like, damn, I just didn't. I was like, oh, she knows and she still wants, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's, inches my chair a little bit away. I think it's not very nice just to hurt people, police officers are supposed to help people. And she said, she was just not interested in that. And then she goes, plus, then she thinks for a second, she goes, plus, I could have a gun and then I could shoot people. And I was like, well, guess what? You have to consider when you shoot someone, you could take away their life. And that's a really big deal. You sure that's what you want to do? And she was like, yeah, didn't change her mind about that. But then she's like, plus I wouldn't have homework. And I was like, nope, cops do have homework. They have to take it home and then they have to do all their paperwork. And she was like, oh, well,
oh my God, convince kids not to become cops by telling them there's homework.
Yes, literally. I was like, the other logic's not working. Okay, killing people doesn't seem to bug her.
Wow, this is such a wild conversation.
Yeah. And then she was like, well, I guess I don't want to be a police officer anymore. And I was like, yes!
Well done, Leela.
Success. And she goes, now I don't know what I'm going to be. And I'm almost a teenager. And I was like, well, you're 8. And it's going to be okay. And then finally mom walked up and I was like, oh, there's mom. Let's All right.
Here's your child. Take her away. That's scary. The I want to hurt people thing. That's freaking
She said
scary.
it just so sweetly and innocently with a full eye contact.
Children are so fucking funny, y'all. Children are so fucking funny.
Oh my god.
Absolutely insane.
Raye, what's cringing you out this week?
Okay, I went to an event recently for local businesses where they had like a little fashion show, which was
Cute.
very cute. Yes, my friends were actually like in it, like they
fun.
like put on outfits for the local thrift store. It was really, really cute. They did excellently, but so everybody's like amateur models, and they only had like 2 guys, and both of them so obviously did not want to be there doing the modeling. Like, you're supposed to like slowly walk around the room and like show out like the pieces of the outfit as they're talked about, and these guys just like speed walked like the entire round.
Oh my god.
I was
Don't
like,
they
oh
know
buddy,
that it draws like so much more attention to yourself.
it does. Yeah, you gotta be so normal.
Yeah, just like, all right, this is what I'm doing right now, I guess.
It's like their moms or sisters were like, you have to do this.
Yeah, that was definitely the vibe.
Oh my god.
Oh, men. That's cringy. Christina, what's been cringing you out this week?
Well, I was cringing myself out a little bit. Y'all might have noticed that I'm pretty friendly and pretty outgoing, and I usually am an endless font of energy. But I went to a party recently and I just like couldn't do it. I couldn't fake it. I didn't have it. I really wanted to be there. Old friends, you know, pretty chill energy. And I took Haley, and Haley was my extrovert on this occasion.
Oh my god.
It was wild, and I felt bad because, like, I feel like if you're like kind of outgoing in the way that I am, there's almost like a pressure, like I'm
expectation.
like
Yeah,
like an expect, and I'm sure that my friends don't feel that way, but like I feel that way of myself, and I'm like, oh, they're noticing that I'm being like so quiet right now. I was just like kind of stoned and pretty tired, and so I crocheted through this whole party, and Haley was being a whole personality, so it felt a little cringy.
Go. Time for her to step up.
Sometimes you hit your social threshold and that's it. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
As you get older, it happens, Tina. It's happening to me more too.
It doesn't usually happen to me, or if it does, it's because I'm like insanely high at like Courtney's house, and she gets it.
Yeah.
she gets it. She's the one who made me that high.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Tina, because I'm kind of been experiencing that every now and then at the office too, because I am first and foremost like personality higher. So, I mean, I guess if I don't bring the personality, they're like, why are you here? No, but I go in there, and some days, like, maybe I just had to pay a big bill, or I feel sad about something. But sometimes I'm just not like immediately like, woo, I'm walking on sunshine.
I know.
Oh.
Usually that's right there for me. Like for example, a lot of times I record a lot. You guys know I have several podcasts, and like I record like 2 or 3 times a week, and like sometimes I'm not feeling excited about it, but then the second I sit down and start talking to my friends, it is like a switch flips.
Yeah.
And so it's really disorienting to me when like the switch won't flip. Oh god, the lights are out. I can't do anything.
And it's like difficult to, because like especially like I think you're a very genuine person, so I think it's really it's really hard for you to fake that kind of genuineness. Like,
yeah, well, and I was at Nick's house.
Yeah.
Our very bubbly, beautiful friend Nick, who will definitely be coming on the show someday. And she and I are like almost the exact same person. She's so friendly. She's so compassionate's not the word I'm looking for. Like she can tell she's paying attention to you. She's noticing. And so she was giving me like a lot of extra attention because I think she thought that like I was having a bad day or something.
Yeah.
And I declined pizza when it first got there and waited 15 minutes. I feel like she was like, what is happening? I just need a minute. I need a minute on the pizza. Okay. I'm going to get it. And then I did.
good. Was it good?
Oh yeah, it was from what's that one on the corner? It's some Italian name that starts with a P at VCU.
Pacelli's.
The one on the corner.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Anyway, it's
yeah,
not
it doesn't
important.
matter. If you live in Richmond, you know the one.
Yep.
Starts with a P on the corner of Harrison and Main Street.
There you go.
Free advertisement.
It's great pizza.
This is really interesting to me because I'm 100% the opposite. Like, I
know.
always have to put effort in to get into, like, a social mode. And so, like, I feel like you're becoming one of us.
I think that, like, a little bit of it is age.
Yeah.
A little bit of it is... Well, I genuinely, this was a Friday. I had worked. I had gone by myself to read at happy hour for like 3 hours. I had recorded an episode of the restricted section and then gone to this party.
It's kind of a lot.
It was a lot. And it was a small party. There was like I said it was a party. There was like 6 of us.
Yeah, there's more pressure at that type of party, though, you know?
Yeah, luckily everyone was so nice and we did just do a lot of sitting around the kitchen table. But so I think that, like, as I'm getting older, I also have really been trying very hard this year to, like, just care less what other people think and, like, what I think I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. You know, like, just today we're having a cookout tonight and Sean was like, I want to buy these barbecue chips for the cookout. And I was like, that's fine. And then he was like, Tina, is it okay if I open the barbecue chips early? Because in the past I have policed those kinds of things. I'm like, no, those are for the cookout. But I was like, Sean, I don't give a shit what you do. Open those barbecue chips, babe. We can do whatever we want. I'm crazy.
Hell yeah.
I'm not like a regular Tina. I'm a cool Tina.
So when I was like, I don't have enough energy for this party, I was like, girl, just take your crochet and don't talk to anybody.
Okay, but, like, that's nice too, is, like, having a level of comfort with people where you can just, like, chill and not feel like you have to be, like, on all the time.
Performative, yeah.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Because me and Nick are old friends, and we definitely both have our ups and downs, and it's, like, being able to just kind of, like, the friendship is always the same even when we're in different places. You know what I mean? Mm. Anyway... Raye, what the fuck are we doing here?
Okay. So I've never been on Burn Before Reading before, and that's because I am not a hater at heart. And I respect haterism. I love haters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it doesn't come so naturally to me. But you guys got me on by promising that I would be allowed to talk about Homestuck, and you're going to regret that.
I would like to read to you in our Discord, which patrons of any of our network shows can be part of, and Leela and I will be starting our Patreon come June, so pretty quickly here.
Hell yeah.
But what happened is on March 18th, I said to the class, hey, in one sentence, what's Homestuck? And Charlie said, you don't want to know. Haley said, I agree with Charlie. And then I said, come on, just one little sentence couldn't hurt. And then Charlie said, it's a webcomic. So that is all I got.
I'm about the same level of knowledge over here.
It sure is a webcomic.
And then I think I went to the DMs and I was like, Charlie, can you tell me if it would be like an interesting episode for Raye to come explain it on Burn Before Reading? And they said yes. So
okay.
Here you are.
So Homestuck is a webcomic, and I think that it is deeply excellent. I highly recommend it. It definitely counts as shiterature.
Okay, I want to take a break really quick. Leela, have you ever read a webcomic?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I ever have. I can't think of one.
I haven't read a lot, and the only one that's coming to mind right now is Lore Olympus.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty classic.
I've never read Lore Olympus. I've always thought, like, just... Like, even if it's not that good, because I hear a lot of complaints about it, I need to, like, know culturally what it is.
I think it's really beautiful and good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and I feel like shit like that, like, always gets, like, backlash because it gets too popular, and then everyone's like, oh, I hate that people like this.
And I'm not part of the discourse of that fandom, and, like, there was a time in my life when I would have said that Harry Potter was really beautiful and good, you know? But now I'm part of the discourse, and I know better. So, like, maybe if someone explained to me what was not good about it, I would get it better, but
right.
Reading it by myself with my silly little brain, I enjoy it.
These things happen. Homestuck was started in 2009, and it is very much a product of that time.
That was
excellent.
such a special time on the internet.
Yeah. This is, like... Based off of internet humor, it is meant to live on the internet. There are published versions, like book versions of Homestuck. They are not the same experience because Homestuck is not just a webcomic written out in panels. It is like a multimedia, like, piece of art. that will contain little game segments. It has videos and albums of music that have been written for it.
Whoa.
Wow.
The problem is that if you want to read Homestuck, you do not go to the official Homestuck website. Because
Okay, that's what I did. And I got confused. That's
just because it's like that. The problem is that Flash died, and Homestuck is licensed now, I believe, by Viz Media. And so when Flash was dying, they were trying to convert it into a way that the website would still be accessible after Flash started dying. And the way that they did that was not ideal. They made a lot of these videos that were originally meant to be hosted on the website in like this really particular format into like YouTube videos that are just embedded, and it does not work as well. The game segments you can't play anymore. So if you actually want to read Homestuck as originally intended, you get the unofficial Homestuck collection, which now has an online version. You don't have to download gigs of data in order to read Homestuck anymore. I like owning Homestuck and archiving it myself, but the unofficial Homestuck collection has Homestuck, and it also has like some other related lost media, like Namco High, which is a dating sim where you can date Namco characters and also a couple of Homestuck ones, including the Galaga spaceship. You can date it.
Oh my god! Wait, I read a book once where a spaceship had a whole ass personality. I love that.
I love spaceships with personality. They're my favorite.
Oh, it was the Murderbot Diaries.
Yes. Oh my god, Murderbot's so good.
A spaceship called ART, which stood for asshole something transport. Asshole. What was the R for?
I can't remember either.
It was like cargo. It was like a word like that, but it was like asshole something transport. ART. Love it. When did you get sucked in? When did you get stuck?
Okay.
As they say, perhaps.
So I went to an anime meetup at my local library.
Oh my god, Raye, that's one of the nerdiest things I've ever heard in my life. I love that.
I fucking know. It's so hilarious. And we had a little like AMV showcase. And what one of the people decided to show to us was like not even like animated images, just fan art of Homestuck sent to music of like some guy who was impaled. And I'm like, this looks so interesting and cool. I should go and check this out. My dear friend, what is this? And they told me it was Homestuck and I should go try and read it.
They didn't say read it. They said try and read it.
No, literally. You have to make the effort. So, and I tried for like a minute. I was like, I don't think this is the right thing. And I had to like Google it and like try to figure it out. And I was like, no, that is the right thing. It just looks like that. And that first time it did not stick, but people kept fucking talking about it to the point where I'm like, if I don't understand what's going on here, I feel like I'm missing out. Like I literally just said with Lore Olympus, like I have to do it like for my own like cultural education. I need to like
there's social repercussions to your ignorance.
I need to like drill through this thing.
I definitely relate to that. Like that's why I read like 50 Shades of Grey like Where the Crawdads Sing and even like A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm like, I need to know what the people are talking about.
So it took a while for it to click for me. I think it was one of the videos. Oh, it was an animation in Act 4 where I was like, wait, I think this is excellent, which is a lot of Homestuck to have to read before you're like, this is good. But
man, have you guys ever had someone recommend a show to you and they're like, the first 3 seasons are kind of whatever. Oh and you're like, we're not doing this then.
The problem was that the first 3 acts of Homestuck had a lot of programming jokes that my, like, preteen self was not going to fucking get.
Oh,
like,
yeah, okay.
None of that shit grokked for me. And now I'm like, what do you mean you want to skip the first few acts? Those are so fucking good. They're really funny. But one of the things I wanted to make sure that you guys knew is that Homestuck actively makes itself hostile to read in a lot of ways.
Oh my god, how? What is it, like all in like impact font or like
Only when he wants to hurt your feelings. They.
Who's he?
No, okay. Homestuck is made by Andrew Hussey, who goes by they, them pronouns that now, and I always forget.
Okay, well, thanks for the correction.
Yes.
Got it. So it's one person.
One person, one insane person. The output of Homestuck in its early years was fucking insane. There was not a posting schedule. There was, you go to the website and you refresh it and you hope that there's more content, and there might be several times a day. It was insanity.
Wow.
Homestuck, as it exists now, has over 800,000 words.
Which is about a novel.
Not.
Oh wait, 800,000.
800,000.
That's about 10. That's about 10 novels.
Yeah.
So sorry. That's 1.5 Game of Thrones books.
And that is not including, I don't believe, the game segments, which are mostly like walk around and talk to people. So there's a lot of dialogue
so
and words
it's
in
only,
those.
It's only like the cutscene type stuff.
Yeah. So this thing is fucking insane, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel like the way you talked about it, I kind of like assumed it was like almost like an inclusive like fan made comics or something. I did not picture that it was just going to be one guy creating all this content.
Okay.
One person.
Thank you.
There is fan-made content that is in the webcomic proper, which started happening more and more as time went on.
Oh, that's cool.
So the origin of that is actually that Andrew Hussey started making comics on forums as like a little forum game that people were playing. Homestuck is designed to be like a point-and-click adventure video game.
Okay.
It will have a panel that like shows a scenario, and then underneath there will be text that describes the scenario, and then readers can input what they want the character to do.
Okay.
And
are there like options or?
No,
You just
originally
click
it would just
around?
be like people would write in the forum like text of like, I want the character to do this.
And then it would?
And then, yeah, the creator would draw that happening.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I see what's happening. So it's not like an automatic game.
No,
it's like
no,
a game of the creator with the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
That's wild.
And that's how Homestuck actually started out, with reader input commands. As it went on, the audience got so big that they were like, there are so many inputs now that I can pick and choose literally whatever I want to happen. And so I'm just not even going to bother with the inputs anymore because it's my creative process anyways. And so it transitioned from having any inputs pretty early on, I believe. But these 16 primary characters of Homestuck were all named by fans.
Oh my god.
So there are 20 at least very important characters.
Do they show up like a couple at a time, or is it like an ensemble Breakfast Club situation?
It's a huge ensemble cast. So we start out with like 4 main characters, and then like a bunch of kind of secondary points of interest.
Wow, editor's note. Too many characters.
I mean, true, and yet everybody has people who are their favorite, yeah.
And I guess there's just so much content that there is enough time for that many characters.
Yeah, there is. It's truly ridiculous, and that's why I think personally that Homestuck had such a huge fandom and so much fan content made out of it, is that there are so many characters and not all of them are getting focused on at the same time, and so there's so much room in the narrative for people to imagine and create.
Yeah, it like invites fanfic.
It really, really does.
Yeah.
Homestuck was fucking huge back in the day. You could not escape it at an anime convention.
So what the fuck is the plot? Like, can you like boil down 800,000 words to like a couple sentences?
It's literally a joke in the fandom, like, let me tell you about Homestuck, and then you try and you fucking can't, because anything that I tell you out of context is not gonna make any sense. It just doesn't really work.
That's why Charlie said, you don't want to know.
Trust me on this one. You don't want to know. Audrey, don't tell him. You shouldn't have told me, but you did. And now I'm telling you, you don't want to know.
I gave myself a couple hours before we started. I tried I literally tried to write out like a nice little summary of like the different acts and the structure and stuff. And I finished like the first section and I was like, I didn't even mention the magic clown dog who was killing everyone. Like, it didn't even come up. Like,
oh my God.
So what Homestuck is about is internet friends who play a game together. And so it's about their connection as like internet friends in 2009. These kids are all 13 years old, and these are the only people they talk to, as far as I can tell.
Okay.
And there's a new game coming out, and they're all going to play it together. The game allows them to manipulate each other's real-life environments like it's The Sims. And then they realize that there are meteors heading towards their locations and that they have to use the structures of the games to teleport their house into a different dimension before they get hit by a meteor. And then too many meteors hit the Earth and it ends. And
it ends? Does that mean it explodes into a billion pieces?
No, it doesn't, because we also get flash forwards to like a bunch of years in the future when a new species is like walking around on the desolate Earth.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Kind of like Adventure Timey a little bit. No? Mm-hmm. You know, with their whole like post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic.
thing.
Also, the deep energy of literally anything can happen.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to explain because it really does drip feed you into all of it, because this alternate dimension has these chess people who are constructs of the game, and they're in the middle of a war between good and evil, and you as the player of the game are the one who needs to like end this. And spoilers for the middle of Act 5, but the goal of the game is to create a new universe. It's actually the method by which universes destroy and reproduce each other.
Whoa.
And so,
like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, kind of.
Yeah.
Although those are planets, but, you know.
So by playing this game, you are a part of this, like, cycle of destruction and birth, and you become basically the gods of this new universe that you create. There is a mechanic in the game to ascend to godhood, so like you normally want to try to do that if you.
Whoa.
What's interesting to me is that the comic itself is kind of designed as a game that the readers are playing, but also the characters are playing a game within that, and like
Yeah.
the characters have this kind of vocabulary, and the comic itself has this vocabulary that is all. It feels like terminology that would only be used in a game. Like, if somebody gets into a fight, then they have started a strife. Or if they're going to run from a fight, then they are absconding. And that's the only kind of language that is used.
So it does have a bit of its own, like, lexicon, like its in-group language that you kind of have to acclimate yourself to. That's very interesting. And it's very pretty culty, honestly.
Yes, I think that that's also a huge part of its appeal, especially for, like, younger people, because, like, the fandom was kind of fucking culty.
Yeah.
It was very in-group, very, like, we get these jokes and we're going to repeat them both from the comic or, like, things that we've come up with that we're just repeating over and over. The comic has its own in-jokes. It doesn't frequently reference actual topical memes. Instead, Andrew Hussey made a different joke comic that was about being as incredibly shitty as possible. And then they said that one of the characters in Homestuck had actually written and drawn that comic. And so he and all of his friends would make references to it, and those were their in-universe memes.
Okay, but Andrew Hussey actually made that other spin-off comic?
Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff. There are people who have read Sweet Bro and Hella Jeff who have not read Homestuck, which seems fucking bizarre to me.
That's insane. That's literally... So Andrew Hussey, it's like... It reminds me of fucking Tolkien writing all these languages, and it's like, you don't actually have to. Like, we can.
Yeah, you didn't have to do that.
I want to.
Okay. We haven't even gotten to the trolls yet. So, so the most recognizable iconography from Homestuck is going to be people with gray skin and candy corn colored horns. Like these like orange and yellow horns coming out of their heads. This is an alien race. These are the second set of 12 characters. We meet them in Act 5, and they are the ones who played the game that created our universe.
Oh.
So we kind of do a flashback and like hang out with them for a little while.
I'm looking at them. They're cute.
Yeah, I love them. A lot of them were kind of based off of internet stereotypes at the time. So there's like a cat girl, there's a juggalo.
Did y'all ever, like, in the earlier days of Facebook, like, around this time, did y'all ever, your friends would do, like, tag your friends. Who's the hot one? Who's the chatty one? Who's the one you can call and they'll help you bury a dead body? And you would, like, tag all your friends because Facebook was wild back then.
That sounds hilarious. I did not use social media.
It's a very, like, it's giving tag yourself. Which troll are you?
Yeah, that is a large aspect of it. The trolls, they also all have zodiac signs, so, like, you can get, like, government assigned troll just based on what your zodiac is.
Wait, that's so funny.
Oh my god, I'm an Aquarius. My troll is Aridin. That's the incel fascist one.
No!
Who is a popular character, even though he's based off just being an incel and a fascist. I hate him.
Okay, wait, I'm trying. Wait, I found the trolls as the zodiac. Like, there's a crab one for Cancer, but it's the troll. Hold on, I'm trying to find a nice little infographic of which troll is which zodiac, but it's not coming up easily. So,
they have them on their shirts. If you,
oh,
I think they do. Anyways,
was not looking. Oh my god, they do. Carcat Vantis. It says carcinogeneticist.
That's his online handle, which
That's
we
his
find
handle,
out
okay.
before his actual name.
Carcat Vantis is the Cancer, which is my zodiac sign.
You're so fucking lucky. That's the most popular character.
What? Okay. What does Pisces look like?
I saw that one.
She's a fish girl, if you're looking at the characters. She's fuchsia. She has long hair and like a little green and blue skirt.
Oh, does it look like an H sometimes?
Yes,
Pisces?
yes.
Oh, Feferi? The name is Feferi?
Yes, it is.
Very Pikesies.
Pisces. That's cuttlefish color? And what zodiac sign did you say you are, Raye?
Aquarius.
Which is?
Aridin Ampera. And it's like two squiggle lines.
Oh, yep, okay. I do like the squiggles.
Hey, I'm about to tell you something terrible. He's also a Harry Potter ripoff character. That's why he's got the glasses and the scarf.
I mean, just look at him. Just look at him.
He wants to be a wizard.
And his handle is Caligula's Aquarium, which is... What are those words?
So trolls have a blood caste system.
Oh my god, what on earth?
So their colors that they have are the colors of their blood, and based on the color of your blood, you are higher or lower in society. Whoa. So Aridin and Feferi are both sea dwellers, which means that they are the highest caste in society, purple and fuchsia. Feferi is the heiress to the Empress currently.
Wow. That's a lot of lore about the trolls.
Yeah.
Wait, are the trolls? I was just looking at 12 trolls, but they're not part of the cast of 20 that you were describing originally?
They are part of the full
are.
cast of 20 that I consider the main characters.
Okay, cool.
Another thing that you probably should know, even though it's not technically plot relevant, is that the trolls have a strictly regimented relationship system that has 4 different kinds of romantic partners.
Oh, wait, tell me more. That's actually so interesting.
Right? I love it.
What are the 4 kinds?
We call them quadrants, and they are based off of card suits. So you have the heart suit, which is for mate spritz, which are basically what you would expect out of a romantic partner. They have like a loving and sexual relationship. You have the diamond, which is for moirails. Moirail is kind of like a non-sexual soulmate. They are supposed to keep you grounded. The spade, which is for your kismesis, which is a romantic hateful relationship, a sexual hateful relationship. Yes, there is canonical hate fucking.
That's so hot.
And then the club is for your auspicious, which is actually a group of 3, 2 people who dislike each other and 1 person who mediates between them, which is like your clover. So
Sure, like a clover. Yeah.
right, and so that is a non-sexual relationship.
That is so deeply interesting.
There are people who are still using this system for like shipping in other fandoms. It's very funny.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing where like I wonder if some like language from Homestuck has ever crossed in front of my eyes and you just like don't notice it because I didn't know what it was.
Right.
You know?
That is entirely possible. But
so the second one you said, the one that's like loving but not sexual, is that more like for like ace people, or is that more just like anyone can have this, but like Leela and I, you know?
in their society, ideally, you would have all of your quadrants filled, in which case you would have one of every single one of these kinds of partners.
So I'm even more intrigued by the last one then, because like why it's interesting to me that there would be like a kind of relationship type, like a type that you could like even aspire to that involves conflict. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That one I feel has the least good like canonical explanations of how it works, because it's introduced to us as like a kind of romance that you would aspire to and like want to have soulmates in, like people who you would like have consistently. And then later in the comic, when they talk about it, they kind of talk about it as like a solution to a problem, as in I might mediate between these 2 people for a while to like stabilize their relationship, and then once they're stable, we'll fall out of that quadrant. So
okay, interesting.
But I have read some pretty good fan fiction that I feel like did a good job of like making that an object of romantic desire, where like you might see 2 people arguing and you're like, my God, I just want to tell them both to shut up so badly. And like that's like a kind of like innate romantic desire in that society. And like I feel like that's very interesting to me.
That is really, really, really interesting.
Their society is also like assumed to be bisexual. It's bisexual normative.
Ooh.
Love that. I think our world should be a little more like that.
Totally.
I think we're kind of getting there. You hear about that more people like come out as bisexual now than like ever before, because it's more of an option, I feel.
Dude, my adult women friends who come out as bisexual, there's always this moment of like, I mean, yeah, right? And
Like,
then you're
why
like,
wouldn't
oh, you're telling me news. Okay, wait.
Like I said, Homestuck is very much a product of 2009, and it contains slurs, especially towards the beginning. I feel like it matures a lot throughout the years as the creator matures.
Is it still being released?
No, it ended a few years ago.
So it was running for, like, good at math, like 10 years.
Just yesterday, as we are recording, was the 15th anniversary of the release. Oh, it ended in 2016, so it only ran for 7 years.
Okay. Yeah, and I do remember that, I forgot who I was talking, was it you? Somebody said that April is Homestuck month.
Yes.
Is that because of the anniversary? Okay, so this episode is coming out in April, so happy Homestuck month, everyone. Happy anniversary.
Homestuck to all who celebrate.
Why is it called Homestuck?
I think it's kind of a joke. Yes, it's a reference to Earthbound, the game series with Ness. You know that guy?
Okay, yes. I do know Ness from Super Smash.
Yes.
Leela, have you ever been watching someone play Super Smash and there's like a little boy and he has like lightning breath kind of, or maybe he shoots it out of his hand, whatever. He has this little lightning ball that comes to get you.
he has psychic powers. Don't worry about it.
Sean likes to play with Ness and I fucking hate it because like the lightning ball comes for you in ways that you like forget. It like moves from physics.
He's very hard to play
around.
because it's really hard to like direct that little fucking thing.
Sean's good at it. Sean's a total Ness.
There's a joke very early on in Homestuck because when you input the reader commands, it's very common for the website to like fight back at you is what it kind of feels like. It's like, okay, I'll do it, but like in a genie like fucking up what you meant to say kind of thing. But there's a joke very early on where it's like, leave your house, and then the kid just walks out and it's like, you leave your house, and there's no complications whatsoever. Like, it's very easy.
It's almost like you like rolled a d20 and you like got like a 19 and the DM's like, yeah, you leave your house.
You did it. Great. Good job.
You did it.
Okay, so another thing about Homestuck being actively difficult to read, the trolls all have what they call typing quirks, which might be something based on their personality or based on their zodiac sign. It's a good type of characterization because, like, every character has a unique way of typing. One of the original main characters, Dave, doesn't capitalize or use punctuation. He just types like somebody like typing quick online.
Oh my god.
Or Rose always uses proper grammar, like that kind of thing. The trolls take it to another level. You have to learn Leet Speak. Sorry, if you want to do this.
Just in case any of our listeners don't know, what is Leet Speak?
It's the substitution of numerals for letters, generally. Like, that's like the very simple explanation. And so nobody uses like, well, I say nobody, and then in Act 6 they introduce a character who uses like pure Leet Speak, but as like
Raye,
a joke. But
you have literally like an encyclopedic knowledge of this. Like it really is like the way that I feel about like Harry Potter. Like after having read that so many times as a kid, it's like so much of my brain, and yet I have no idea how to change my oil in my car.
yeah, you could not imagine how much useless information is packed in here.
Wild.
413 are repeated numerals. The original date, April 13th, 413. There are 4 original main characters and they are 13 years old. 4 and 1 and 3 are later said that they are the numerals of the blind prophets, and so Terezi, who is blind, replaces letters with those numerals. Vriska, who is spider-themed, likes to use 8s where they are phonetically appropriate, so great is GR8, you know.
Classic. Yeah.
Pfeffery, with the little H for Pisces, uses like parentheses to make H's. I find hers the most difficult to read for some reason. Like, that like doesn't register for me for some reason.
I want to know, probably because I haven't been there this whole time, but Raye, like, how is Homestuck cringe? Like, where is the cringe?
A lot of the cringe is coming from the fandom. The fact that there were a lot of kids who really, really liked this thing and were making references constantly that nobody understood. And and also the fact that there's a lot of teen melodrama in Homestuck. Like, there's a whole romance system that causes a lot of shipping discourse. And within the thing, it's like, there are people like breaking up and getting together and murdering each other. Trolls have a very militant society.
You keep just like throwing out words and I'm like, what the did you say blind prophet? What the fuck?
Okay, so I was like trying to like summarize some teen melodrama for you. So here's what I have. Vriska mind controls Tavros to jump off a cliff paralyzing him. So in revenge, Aradia torments Vriska with ghosts. And so in revenge for that, Vriska mind controls Solix into killing Aradia, who is his girlfriend. So in revenge for that, Terezi makes something explode in Vriska's face, removing one of her arms and one of her eyes. So in revenge for that, Vriska mind controls Tavros into communing with Terezi's dragon, into telling Terezi to stare at the sun until she goes blind. These characters are 13 years old.
That's so fucking funny. Like it's almost like a parody.
Yeah.
Like an SNL skit of like Mean Girls. Yeah. But it's like
it always goes way too far.
Supposed to be at that point.
God, that's so funny. It's like these are like some really creative backstabbings that they're doing to each other. Like it's very creative. I guess I meant to say more of like stab backings because it's revenge. Like that's so creative. And it sounds like it just escalates and like ridiculously.
It really does. And so this is an entire planet of kids and teenagers just murdering each other.
Oh my God. I mean, that's really fun. And there's a lot of plot that can come from that.
There's a lot going on there.
I mean, are there parents out? Because you keep talking about how it's like mostly kids who are interested in this. Are there parents out there who are like, no, man, you can't read this. This is so violent.
If they could be bothered to read it, but could you imagine, like, trying to get your parent... Like, you've seen the first page of Homestuck. It looks like such bullshit. Like...
I guess you're right. I'm just remembering when I was in high school, I had pretty stringent parental controls on my computer. That was back when parents still knew more about the internet than the kids. And I couldn't get on anything.
Yeah. I feel like it really has to do with the accessibility of the thing. I was making my mom look at Homestuck with me because I was like, it's so fun, but like there were a bunch of swears in it and I was like, ignore that. But like you have to get so deep into it and like be so invested in order to get to where any of the murders are happening, so it's kind of difficult.
They lure you in.
They
and
do,
then
they
the
do.
murders began.
I kind of want to talk about the fandom a little bit.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, right off the bat, I know we said it's a little culty. Just like a lot of fandoms have tendencies towards sort of culty behaviors.
I know, but this one sounds extra insular.
I agree. I think that it's like right off the bat seems very gatekeepy. I mean, just based off of like alone, all of the responses that we got when we were like, tell us one sentence about Homestuck. And I understand that it's a lot, but like for the automatic response for everyone to be just... it's not worth it. Like, no.
And the fact that you can't really Google it.
Yeah. It's very difficult. Like, the barrier to entry is very high. And I feel like we now have this reputation that Homestuck is bad because there's so much, like, weird shit in it. And so if you are only tertiarily familiar with it, you're like, don't even try, it's not worth it, because somebody tried to explain it to you and it didn't make any fucking sense. And I feel like people who do like Homestuck and might want to talk about it have kind of been burned at this point, where it's like, oh, well, yeah, I like this thing, but like, I know it's kind of cringe, and so like, maybe you don't want to hear about it, like, don't worry about it, it's really weird. Mm-hmm. Betty Crocker is one of the main villains.
Yeah, I wonder if it's kind of like I mentioned, I recently read A Court of Thorns and Roses or whatever, and there's books that I read in my life where I'm like, I just read this, and people are like, you know what? I just didn't. Like, Leela, you're not one of these people, but you were like, I just didn't read it. I couldn't get into it. And it's almost like they're like apologizing, and I'm like, oh no,
yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah,
it's not. So. You just don't have to. Like, don't come in. Like, you don't need to do this. So that's what I feel like the instinct is just like, I'm not going to explain this. It's not going to be cool if I explain it.
Right.
Well, you're doing it cool right now because we were prepared and we were like, we're going to do this great for a podcast. But like, sometimes it's just like, it's too much work. I'm not doing this. I do think that the language is also a form of gatekeeping. You know, the way that like you can't is a form of gatekeeping and cultish. The gate goes both ways. You know what I mean? Because it like makes it so you can't. It's even harder to talk to people outside the in group about this subject matter, and like nobody really knows what you're talking about looking in from the outside.
Right. it used to be a huge thing for you to call your best friend your Moirail, and like if I had and like send each other like little diamonds because that's the symbol. Like you might send somebody hearts if you really like them. You might send them diamonds to show that they're your best friend. It's like you know, it becomes like this almost secret language that like if I had done that in front of somebody who didn't know what was happening, it's like literally what's going on.
And I wonder, like, to what extent that brought more people in for being curious versus alienating people, you know?
And I do think that it's both, because there is this curiosity. We do desire to be a part of in-groups. Mm-hmm. And Homestuck fan content used to be so huge that, like, you might see it anywhere. And like I said, the cosplay was inescapable. Dave Strider is one of the most popular characters. He wears aviator shades, and you used to see this guy fucking everywhere. I've seen pictures at cons that are just guy. Dave, all Dave, 20 Daves.
Wait, I've definitely seen this guy. I guess this ties back to like why Charlie was like, you don't want to know, it's too hard to explain. But like it really, from what I've gathered so far, it really does feel like somebody sent around a basket and a piece of paper like at a party, at like a drunken house party, and was like, write anything down. And people were like, a prophet, a guy named Dave, Strider from Lord of the Rings, another universe, fucking murder, and like
astrology creatures.
Astrology, yeah, and like Andrew Hussey was just like pulling whatever from the hat, and like, and but you said that in the beginning they were taking recommendations from listeners and that are from readers, and that's not this as random, but like there's a deep frenetic randomness to that choice.
There truly is. I want to explain at least one more like plot and structure detail, because I think that this is the most interesting part of Homestuck to me, which is that there is a lot of fucking time travel.
Okay. Which everyone knows is notoriously easy to write about.
Oh yeah,
no
absolutely.
Complications.
So I love early Homestuck's time travel system, which is that you are required as a person to make stable time loops. And if you don't, then it creates an offshoot timeline which is doomed to die because it is not part of the cycle of death and rebirth of the universe.
How can an individual create a stable time loop?
If you are someone who is time traveling and you see your future self do something, then you have to go and do that thing in the future. And if you don't, you have broken the timeline.
You broke. Okay, I feel you.
And another form of stable timeline is that all of the kids were always fated to play the game because they were created inside of it. John, the original main character, finds a machine that can take like a DNA imprint off of someone from any point in time on Earth, and he gets a DNA imprint of all of the children's guardians, Jade's grandpa, his dad, Dave's older brother, and Rose's mom. He gets imprints of them and makes clones of all of them, and then mixes their DNA together and gets a different set of 4 clones. And then all 8 of these clones are sent back to the Earth at different points in time and grow up to become the people they are. They always had to play this game because they were created inside of it. They are paradox clones of themselves.
Oh my god. And see, that's why you don't fuck with time travel. Don't read it. Don't write it. Well, you can read it, but don't write it, and definitely don't do it IRL. I'm not touching
it seems
that.
like a bad idea.
And it's funny, I've been thinking about it because Andrew just asked if we wanted to watch Doc Hollywood for movie night, which stars Michael J. Fox. So I was obviously thinking about Back to the Future. Yeah, it's just messy.
It's messy as fuck.
Yeah, hit on your mom. You know what I mean? Like you never know what's gonna happen.
Okay, so the other thing that happens with time travel that I think is so fucking fascinating is that they create a situation in which their version of the game becomes unwinnable and they're all basically doomed. And so they decide that what they need to do is scratch the game and reset it as a new universe. And they're going to escape their current iteration and travel to this new universe where they can restart the game, basically. So they manage to do that, and then we start Act 6, and we start with an entirely new set of 4 characters who are the original characters' guardians, but they have been swapped with our main characters. Now, John's dad is not John's dad, his grandma, because his dad is actually his grandma's actual son. Oh my god, I forgot about how...
Sure. Oh my god, it's worse than math. It is.
John's Nana is actually biologically his mom because of clone shenanigans, and which means that his dad is biologically his half-brother.
For those who can't see, all of us are making pained faces right now.
Yeah. John's dad is his brother, and Dave's bro is his dad. Don't worry about it. So when we flop things around...
about it.
For coming from binging Once Upon a Time, I'm like, this all trash.
Yeah. So when it all flops around, John's Nana is the new, main teen character who we get introduced to. Her name's
Nana.
Jane.
Her name's Nana. Please still call her Nana. That's so funny.
And in this new universe, John was her pop who died a while ago because a meteor fell on him or something.
Meteor shenanigans.
I'm trying to remember if that's actually what happened, because Nana died because a meteor fell on her, but there are less meteors in the new universe. When we get to the new universe, Dave's bro is now one of the main characters, and his name's Dirk. He and Roxy, Rose's mom, actually don't live in the same time as the other characters. They get shunted off to hundreds of years in the future after the fish empress of the trolls has taken over the earth and eradicated the human race by taking on the identity of Betty Crocker.
What's happening? You see what I mean? Some drunk asshole was like, I'm gonna write Betty Crocker on this poster. That's gonna be a funny one.
It's just a joke early on that John hates Betty Crocker because he's sick of cake because his dad makes it all the time. And then this becomes a whole thing where she's actually an evil megalomaniac who eradicates the human race.
Oh my god, this absolute shade on Betty Crocker's name.
So, this is why people like Homestuck, is that it has, these really, really interesting, character details and moments that you wouldn't have ever imagined happening in any other media. When else would that scenario occur?
Well, and with so much going on, it is there's a little something for everyone.
There truly, truly is. There are weird memes.
Sure, I can imagine.
Toby Fox is the creator of Undertale. You are familiar with his work? Mm-hmm. Toby Fox and Andrew Hussey were friends, and Toby composed a shit ton of music for Homestuck.
Oh, cool.
Okay, this is a complete tangent. But there was a weird rule on some forum that you couldn't talk about MPreg. And Toby Fox thought that was bullshit. He was like, I think that's dumb that you can't talk about guys getting pregnant. So, Toby Fox wrote a little song. It's actually a movement called The Baby Is You, in which one of the characters has a baby and the baby is you. It's...
What the fuck?
It's an entire joke / protest against this rule on this one forum. And there's this one tune in this song that was really catchy, and when Toby Fox composed music for fucking Pokemon, it used the same tune.
Oh my god.
It's so fucking funny. The legacy of The Baby Is You into Pokemon. Officially. I don't remember why I brought up Toby Fox in the first place, but I just think that's really fucking funny.
That is really funny. So, Raye, have you, like, made friends through Homestuck?
Oh, absolutely. Teddy, my roommate, used to set up Homestuck meetups in our area.
And would you, like, talk about the latest...
Oh,
updates?
absolutely. Yes.
Like, what would you do at the
when I was
meetups?
going to school, for one semester I went to a special school. It was a mistake. I used to go to, like, a college to do high school, and then I went back to my regular school because I didn't have my friends anymore, and I was really sad.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
But while I was there, we all had laptops all the time, and me and, like, 2 other kids were, like, on the Homestuck website refreshing and being like, oh my god, it updated.
What a chaos way to release your
Truly,
publication.
truly. It was ridiculous. Tumblr, the Homestuck culture on Tumblr was fucking ridiculous. There was fan art same day. There were cosplays same day that a new character
Whoa.
was introduced. Like, it was
That's
insanity.
passionate.
We had a special tag, update with an 8, for talking about the newest, latest Homestuck content.
Whoa. Do you think that Homestuck, I mean, because 2009, I really mean it. It was like kind of the end of like the old Wild West style internet. Like that was like when it was right at the end of my high school, beginning of college. And like by the time I got out of college, the internet, I think, looked quite different. It was much more organized.
The internet feels sanitized now.
Yeah, exactly. Sanitized.
Advertiser friendly.
For better and for worse, you know. But so I'm wondering, like, do you feel like Homestuck has shaped the development of the internet in any way, or like contributed to contemporary internet culture?
I find that difficult to answer because I want to say yes, abso-fucking-lutely. And I do think that it has shaped a lot of storytelling for anyone who's been influenced by it, and I do think that it shaped internet language in some very specific ways, because there are cadences of speech that I feel like became popularized in Homestuck and then became like the way that we make jokes on the internet outside of it. And I really do think so, but it's hard for me to tell how far its influence goes when I was such a part of that insular community.
Yeah, like I would be like, yeah, Twilight really, really revolutionized the world, and it's like, well, maybe Christina, you were the target audience.
But I know that we in the fandom at the time were like, people are gonna be fucking studying Homestuck in their colleges in like 10 years. And I don't know that that's actually gonna happen, but it sure felt like its influence was that strong. There is a podcast called Homestuck Shaped the Internet. I think that's what it's called. That
answers my question, I guess.
Specifically about this. So, like, we're a couple of
shit.
guys read through Homestuck, and one of them is familiar with it and its culture at the time, and one of them is not.
I do enjoy that dynamic, like a knower and a learner.
Yeah. So if you're interested in that, I'd recommend it. But oh, Christina, I forgot. There's a whole Nick Cage thing.
What? Tell me everything.
John, our OG character, he loves fucking Nick Cage so fucking much, and he loves Con Air specifically. He gets a Con Air poster for his birthday.
Boys love Con Air. I'll leave it at
no,
that.
I mean, Con Air kind of slaps. It's really fun.
It's great, but like a lot of boys really like Con Air specifically.
So you know how all the kids get cloned at the same time?
Sure.
Dave gives John the bunny from Con Air for his birthday.
Put the bunny back in the box.
And then Rose also gives John a bunny that looks like the same bunny except maybe older. And then Jade also gives John a bunny that looks like the same bunny but with cybernetic enhancements. They are all the same bunny because of time travel.
There's a lot of like you know how in Doctor Who they call it wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like that can apply to like any science fiction ever. This is some real wibbly wobbly shit.
It sure fucking is. That's the quote, wibbly wobbly shit. I will give you a factoid, which is that if you meet a trans guy about my age or younger and his name is Dave, you know why.
Whoa, okay, I'll be on the lookout for that. That's very fucking funny.
There was an epidemic. And I love each and every one of them.
It is such a normal guy name too.
I
You know
know.
what I mean?
It's so fun.
Dave. Leela, do you have any clarifying questions for Raye about Homestuck?
I don't know. I don't know. I've been taking notes this whole time, and I feel like
taking notes? What do they say? What did they? Were you just writing down like Betty Crocker, Weird Bunny, Con Air, Pisces?
Let's see. I've got established 2009 based on internet humor, multimedia webcomic, anime meetup at my local library. Andrew Hussey created
Leela,
everything.
You have to take a picture of these notes. That's so funny.
16 primary characters, reconciling familial trauma. Con Air, Bunny.
Is Andrew Hussey like a good person? Like we like them?
I like Andrew Hussey. I feel like they've become like more private as like time's gone on. Like they still own Homestuck, but I feel like they've kind of separated themselves from it.
Yeah, I can totally see, like, especially the way that you were describing how they took, like, reader input in the beginning. I feel like you can really see the progression of this from, like, a smaller fandom into, like, a much larger fandom.
So, like I said, it's very much a product of its time. There are homophobic jokes in early Homestuck. There are slurs in early Homestuck.
2009, you could not
escape
that kind of
stuff. Later Homestuck, there's like an entire like section that's kind of explaining being a young person who might be queer yourself and like seeing shit on the internet that's like casually homophobic and like making that into a joke and part of your personality because you feel so insecure about like your own possible queerness and your own masculinity and like using that like as a defense to like put other people down so you can protect yourself. And I'm like, I feel like maybe Andrew Hussey learned some things over the course of writing this webcomic.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was wondering about Andrew Hussey specifically because of, you know, talking about this like a cult, you know, they would be the leader of the cult. That's a position that you could really take advantage of, you know what I mean?
Andrew has actually kind of like deconstructed that in their later years, and later years, like they're like dying or something. But there is a visual novel called Psycholonials that is about a teen non-binary character who accidentally creates a clown cult on social media and like has to deal with like all of this responsibility and like using it wrong, and like it really does feel like this like examination of Hussey's own personal experiences through the lens of like a militant clown cult, which is very funny.
Wait, so they wrote that?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
I think of it as like a follow-up almost to Homestuck.
Yeah. What was that called again?
Psycholonials.
Okay, well, I guess it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I talked a fucking lot, so I'm probably good.
I am so grateful to you for putting that all together for me because I have been curious about what Homestuck is, and Charlie did say no.
If you are interested, I'll send you like some like popular meme videos from back in the day that might give you like some of the energy of what Homestuck was like in its heyday.
Sure. Please do, yeah, and we'll put those in the show notes so listeners who aren't familiar can check it out.
All right, sounds good.
Raye, do you think Homestuck is horny, sad, or just plain bad?
Oh, it is all three, 100%.
I love a trifecta.
So what makes it sad? I feel like it seems very joyful.
Everybody's parental figures die horribly.
Okay.
I guess that, like, when you were describing it to us, I picked up on a lot of sad elements, but I almost have, like, a cyanide in happiness. Is that what it's called? Energy in my head? Is that what that comic is called? Where it's like things just be exploding and it's like, well, that's the internet. You know what I mean?
It does kind of have that energy. Like, Jade dies in an explosion one time, and then there's like a little tap dancing guy in the next panel because he's like, woo, explosions.
Yes. So I almost like didn't get the vibe that any of it is like actually sad, but I totally defer to your judgment.
There are immensely tragic elements almost constantly. It's really, really quite awful what all these kids go through.
Wow. Okay. I don't feel qualified to take a judgment on this question, Leela, because this is the first time that we've been totally ignorant of the work.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we're going to have to defer to your judgment, Raye.
Yeah. My guess was going to be horny.
Me
that
too.
was going to be my guess.
Oh, it is horny in there. There's a lot of sad things, and there... like I said, sometimes it's like the webcomic is fighting you trying to read it. And that's why I say that it's bad.
That's so bananas.
Sometimes
that's like such
the
a wild
author says
approach.
that they're annoyed with you, and then they like paste a bunch of text that you just read all over again to make the comic harder to read.
That's batshit. That's like, Raye, are you familiar with House of Leaves?
Yes, I am.
That's what that reminds me of. For those who don't know, House of Leaves, I always call it like an extremely advanced level book for people who are like, I'm a fast, good reader and I like the challenge. I want a real, I'm 30 years old and I want a really hard book that's going to break my brain. House of Leaves has like, it's like a story within a story within a story. There's footnotes, there's appendices. The text goes backwards. It goes like the wrong way. It like skips pages. Like it is like your brain gets a workout reading it for sure. So that's kind of what that reminds me of, right? It's like, it's almost like a deterrent.
Yeah,
it's like,
it
read
is,
me not.
But there's an entire video from like years and years ago that is Homestuck is the Ulysses of the internet, which is about like the book Ulysses is so difficult to get through that if you are someone who has read Ulysses, you are going to like sing its praises because everything that you did get out of it you had to work for, and that's like the same thing that Homestuck has going on.
Raye, thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you on the internet? Remind them about your pod.
Oh, yes. Please listen to my podcast of the Eldest Gods. We are just finishing up the last book in the original Percy Jackson and the Olympian series.
Absolutely wild that you're at the end.
Right? I'm gonna go insane. We're reading Kane Chronicles next. So, like, if you are excited to, like, get into something with us, you know, you could start there. It could be pretty fun.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And check out Barbie Movie Slap. Well, that's it for Burn Before Reading.
Until next week, remember,
your cringe is part of you.
And I can't think of a Homestuck pun.
And that part is stuck inside of you. All right.
If you're a Homestuck, your cringe is a large part of you and probably changed you irrevocably.
Great. Somehow edit all that together.
Okay. You know I'm not going to edit it, and it's just going to fade away into our credits. This podcast was created by me, Christina Kahn.
Hosted and produced by Christina Kahn and me, Leela Hilton.
Follow me online at Christina Kahn and buy my book, Indie Book Publishing, from start to finish.
After you bought Tina's book, follow me online at Leels for Reels.
Our theme music was produced by Sakura Wishes.
And our logo was designed by Michael Hardison. Follow Michael on Instagram at RoyGBiv or check out his work at wildlingpress.com.
Thanks for listening, friends.
See you next time.
Dave X Media.